With all these recent cases that we've been seeing here in the news lately, with police officer seem to be maybe on the wrong side of the law and just showing blatant racist intent on things that they want to do, um, hurting each other because they're actually committing crimes on each other. It made me think of this one case that happened back in 2023 with this young man here, and Tyre Nichols, and these five black officers, I believe, out of Memphis. I don't know if everybody's familiar with this case. It's been a few years, but I had to look it up because I was thinking about, I wonder what happened with that. Because I did hear that they were acquitted. So we want to talk about Tyre Nichols, a 29-year-old black man died January 2023 after being brutally beaten by five Memphis police officers during a traffic stop. An event captured on body camera footage that showed officers punching, kicking, and hitting him with a baton after he fled an initial confrontation. The incident led to nationwide protests and calls for police reform, with the officers involved being fired and facing charges. Though three were acquitted of state charges in May 2025 while still facing federal charges. So, this is what happened on January 7, 2023. Officers pulled over Nichols for alleged reckless driving. An initial stop that escalated with pepper spray and a taser. Nichols fled, but officers caught up to him and beat him severely, with the footage showing him calling for his mother. He died 3 days later from blunt force trauma. Five officers were fired and charged. Three, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith, were acquitted of state charges in May 2025, but convicted on federal charges. A federal judge recently ordered new trials for the three officers convicted on federal charges. Two, the two other officers pleaded guilty to federal charges. The video sparked widespread protests against police brutality. The case renewed calls for police reform and accountability. Nichols' family has a pending civil lawsuit against the city, as they should, because they're entitled to everything that it would take for them to feel better, which none of it will. And it won't bring them back either, because I personally seen the video, and I don't even think it was the body cam footage. I believe it was like a camera that was mounted on a pole somewhere that caught the beating. And I seen, if I remember correctly, that man was cuffed and they had him down, and they were steady beating him, kicking him, and then it seemed like other officers would come and join in, and then they're wailing on him. And I'm thinking to myself, if you already have handcuffs on this man and you already got him subdued and he's already down, why would another officer come from maybe his squad car and join in on a beating? What is he angry about something? Why are you now pounding on this person when you just arrived to the scene? Did he spit on you and it hit you while you were in your car as you drove towards the scene? Or make me understand why. And then to find out after watching that video of how I mean, you could see where they picked him up off the ground and had him with his hands behind his back and holding him while they took turns punching him in his face. But as a parent, the part that bothered me the most was I have to think about myself, how I would feel if I had to sit there and watch my child get beat to death on video while he called for his mom. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to loop in other cases. I remember they claimed that the Floyd situation where he yelled mother and how everybody was so upset about that situation. But I was thinking about this Tyre Nichols case, and it just really bothered me of how they did this young man. And the other part, I just have to stick it in there, and it just can't be avoided. He looked like the officers that did it to him. So what is it really about? Is it a what's going on with these police officers? Do they? I mean, do should we feel safer with the ones that don't look like us? I mean, I don't want to always make things about race all the time, but that is messed up. You wouldn't think, I wouldn't think that, okay, now depends on your experience with police officers and what you heard about them in the past and the things that they do and their reputation. You wouldn't think initially that you, as a brown person getting pulled over by people that look like you, would end up being beat to death to the point where you die from blunt force trauma. That is unbelievable. Now, I don't. This is not something that I seek out, far as like, oh, let me find corrupt cops. But one thing I do, I started this page to talk really about, really to react. And I do like crime drama, so I was kind of drawn to crime, but every now and then I try to find something to lighten the mood up a little bit. But this right here is something else. Like, these guys were acquitted after we actually, with our own eyes, witnessed them beat on this man. So I'm trying to figure out, if I go into the store and I'm recorded on camera stealing something and putting it in my pocket and not going to the register and walking out. And then and then I'm caught by the police and I go to court and I say I didn't do it or whatever, I'm not guilty, but they pull the video up and show me stealing this candy bar. How am I then not guilty of stealing that candy bar, even though there's video evidence? It seems to me, and this is why I have withdrawn my participation in certain things like voting and other things, because it seems to be a different set of rules for different people. Some people get to do whatever they want without any repercussions. And it just depends on what group or civic organization or secret society that they belong to. And that's the only thing, that's the only conclusion, because I see a pattern of abuses that take place. And what they like to do is like to put certain people in front of us as, here, this is your representative. Put them in power. And you go, oh, they look like me. But then you see your children, your uncles, your nephews, your nieces being executed in these streets. And then you're like, oh, this is systematic racism or whatever it may be. But how can it be that when you look at the people that is representing you, they look like you? So my question is, who's really pulling the strings? These people that we are putting in these positions of authority, who do they really answer to? Because am I supposed to believe that somebody that looks like me also doesn't mind pulling me out of my car and pummeling me to the point where I pass away in the hospital with no consequences? I mean, that's something that we need to talk about this situation. Like, what are we doing here? And if something goes on where somebody breaks into my home and I feel as though I can't defend myself or something, some weird situation, I don't know. I might be outnumbered and I dial 911. I do not expect the people that I call to come and hurt me, but it happens sometimes. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of what Tyre Nichols was thinking at the time when they went to pull him over for reckless driving, but I don't think that reckless driving should lead to you dying 3 days later in a hospital bed and your parents got to grieve you. That's a bit excessive. Now I don't remember any details about him. I'm looking over. I looked on the internet. I didn't see nothing about he had a firearm. I didn't hear any. I don't know. Did he hit them first? What was happening? But the parts of the video that I seen was that man subdued with his hands behind his back in handcuffs and being worked over as if they were trying to torture him to get some type of information out of that man. That's the only thing that I've seen, and I don't know anything else what happened prior to that. That that body cam footage may be out there. From what I'm understanding, some of these cases may be still pending with these charges, but you know, we're not supposed to believe our eyes. We seen I seen what happened. I don't know if that video is still out there. It was really hard to watch because I look at that from the perspective as a parent and think to myself, I could not. How could I bear watching my child that I raised up since he was running around in Pampers being hit like that over and over again with his hands behind his back? Like, even if he was running his mouth, just because somebody says something to you doesn't give you the right to put your hands on them like that. I thought it was about stopping physical threats. So I don't know, in the trial, did they explain why they kept hitting this man? It was just something, and I just wanted to go on a rant because I mean about this situation because it was just that was heartbreaking to see something like that. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this story if you're familiar with it. Thank you.